Welcome everyone. This is Michael from the Marks Group Live. Happy to be reviewing Getting Started with Zoho Social. After this video is over, please feel free to email us at support@marksgrouplive.com for any questions on this topic or on anything else Zoho. Also, be sure to rate this class as well, helping out your fellow Zoho users and helping us improve our video library. Now, along with my work as a trainer with the Marks Group, I teach an online class in social media and organizations at the University of Western Ontario. That's why I was really excited to bring you this quick overview of Zoho Social. Zoho Social is a powerful social media management tool, giving organizations or freelance operatives the ability to manage an organization's social media presence in a powerful way that increases accountability, reduces error, saves time, and facilitates collaboration. How good is it? Well, that depends partly on what you need it to do. But if you're in the market for a product like Buffer or Hootsuite, then you should be looking at Zoho Social as a possible alternative. So here's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at the possibilities in terms of what Zoho offers at different price points. We're going to look at understanding the differences between brands and channels. We're going to look at the basic setup process for Zoho Social, and we're going to take a really fast run through Social's 7 tabs. Now, before we get into our Zoho screens, a quick word of advice. If your screen doesn't look exactly like mine, don't panic. Your Zoho instance might have been set up slightly differently from mine, and there may be minor differences between your screens and mine. If you run into any trouble with that, or if you're trying to replicate the work that we're doing and you run into a snag, just drop us an email at support@marksgrouplive.com and we'll see what we can do to help you out. Also, note that some of what I'm doing may be only available in certain versions of Zoho. We have the Zoho Professional version for us here. Your version may have more or fewer features than ours. So let's get started with what Zoho offers in terms of social media. Now we start with the free version of Zoho Social. That's pretty good. Let me switch my screen over. That's better. So the free version of Zoho Social is a good start if you want to begin to manage multiple social media accounts and want to begin exploring what it's like to work in a more powerful social media management tool. Really, compared to the scattered, inconsistent tools that you'll usually find in a platform such as Twitter or Facebook or any of the others, working with a powerful interface, even in the free version of Zoho Social, is probably going to be an eye-opening experience. Then there's a sort of hybrid version. All users who are on any paid version of Zoho CRM or Zoho Desk get access to something called Zoho Social Lite. That's 3 words, Zoho Social Lite, not Zoho Socialite, and I'm not sure what a Zoho Socialite would look like, although it would probably be lovely to meet one. Then we have 4 different paid plans for Zoho Social, with increasing features at every price point. Let's do a quick look and examine the key differences. Let me switch over to here. All right. So here we have our Zoho Social plan comparison. Now, the free version, as I mentioned, is good if you just want to get started, if you want to get familiar with the Zoho Social interface. The standard version is good, but it only gives you 2 team members. That's a minimum for most organizations, since one person should always be checking what the other person posts before it goes out to the big, wide, never forgetting world of the internet. Scrolling down here, you still get only 1 brand. I'll talk in a few moments about what a brand is and why the limit of 1 brand may be more of a problem than you might initially think. Custom queue we'll talk about a little bit later today. Down here, scheduling is a great feature, but the calendar publishing. Actually, let's go to bulk scheduling because that's missing in the standard plan. Bulk scheduling may be useful in some situations where you want to load up content that isn't contingent on day-to-day events, stuff that you probably fit into your editorial calendar. Zoho Social lets you schedule up to 350 posts in advance by using an Excel file or a comma-separated variable file. If this is interesting to you, check out our list of available classes or drop us a line if you don't see what you need. Only Zoho Professional and the agency versions allow you to engage in bulk screening. Just as by way of a quick overview here, the agency and agency plus versions are going to be for people who are either freelance social media operatives or agencies where they are handling multiple accounts for multiple organizations or multiple accounts even for a single organization. With those price points, that's not something that a small size business would probably be investing in. So we're in our comparison, we're mostly looking at the standard and the professional versions. Scrolling down, for me, the really big difference between the standard and the professional, and what makes the professional version worth it, is the publishing calendar. For any organization that's serious about social media, the publishing calendar is probably going to force you into that professional version. The rest of the features are almost identical. The professional version gives you better reports, custom reports, gives you 10 dashboards per brand, where you'd get no dashboards in the standard version. And you get more columns to monitor your social media activity. You get 15 columns per brand in the professional and only 5 in the standard. A bit farther down, integration with Zoho Desk and Zoho CRM. That's really powerful stuff in terms of keeping your customers happy or acquiring new ones. And finally, at the bottom, we have sentiment analysis as a major differentiator between the standard and professional. This is where Zoho will monitor the language that's being used by your social media contacts to get a reading of whether they're positive, negative, or neutral about your organization. So let me put it this way. If sentiment analysis is important to you, you're probably already spending tens of thousands of dollars per year on social media, so the price difference between standard and professional is more of a rounding error than a significant amount. So let's go back to Zoho Social. I've already set up a Twitter profile here. If I hadn't, Zoho would now be insisting that I create a brand and then connect the channel. So let's talk about the distinction between those, because there's a bit of a gotcha between when we start talking about channels. And I'll switch over to here and I'll get this going. So a brand is a single business unit. It's often represented by a single domain, a single logo. It may have many products, even different product lines, but there will be some overlap between those products and those product lines. It's an identity, and it probably has a single set of business support systems, one payroll office, one leadership structure, one set of tax returns. That's why Zoho's limitation of a single brand for most plans isn't really a huge problem for a lot of businesses, except for the gotcha, which we'll talk about in just a moment. By contrast, a social channel is a social media site where your organization may choose to be active. At present, Zoho Social is able to help you manage Facebook. That's a Facebook page, a Twitter profile, an Instagram profile, a Google My Business listing, a LinkedIn company page, and a LinkedIn profile. And it gives you one of each of these things. Just one of each of those things. And that's where we have the gotcha. If you happen to have multiple accounts on any of these platforms and you'd like to manage them under the single Zoho Social application, you'll need to have an additional brand. So if you have more than one account, you're going to need more than one brand. Now you might want to label this Social 1 and Social 2, or main account and additional account that I've set up to automatically like and repost everything that the main account posts, because, you know, like many organizations don't not do that. Zoho charges more for additional brands depending upon which version you're using. Standard and professional give you 1 brand each, while agency gives you 10 brands and agency plus gives you 20 brands. And then if you want to add additional brands, there's an additional cost on top of those. Now let's head back to Zoho Social and look at what we might want to do there. Let's see. Oh, there. All right. So I'm back in Zoho Social. I'm going to start in the settings area, which is the cog off to the right. In a lot of Zoho applications, this will be a pair of tools, a wrench and a screwdriver, or a spanner and a screwdriver crossed. In Zoho Social, it happens to be a cog or a gear. So here are my settings. Let me go to the brand settings first. If I hadn't already established the Marks Group Live brand, Zoho would be prompting me to set that up right away. I can include a logo, I can set the display name, change the description, and the time zone here. Just by clicking on the edit, I can get rid of the brand by deleting it, but I'm not going to because I'm going to demonstrate some of the things we're going to be talking about today. On the tab down the left, on the left side here, we have the social channels. So there's first brand information, then social channels. I've already connected the Marks Group Live Twitter account. Whenever I connect an account, Zoho takes me to that site's login page and invites me to enter my username and password. Let's see. For example, I'm just going to click on that. Zoho takes me to the Google to a Google login screen, and Zoho asks me, Google at this point is asking me to click on that username and log in so that Zoho can get access to my Google account. I'm actually not going to allow that. And at that point, Zoho complains that I haven't actually added this social channel, but I'm going to click on that anyway. I'm going to get out of there. Let me click on that for a moment. There. All right. So when you attempt to connect any social channel, what Zoho will do is Zoho asks, or Zoho takes you to a login page for that social media site, and then that social media site asks you to log in, knowing that Zoho is actually going to be logging in on your behalf. In terms of security, you're allowing Zoho Social to access your social media profile on a selected service, read all your messages on that service, post on that service. That's why Zoho Social can do the things it does. If you're using social media purely for business purposes, then that's probably not a massive invasion of privacy. It's also worth noting that Zoho's own privacy policies are really good. Unlike Google and Microsoft, Zoho doesn't make money by selling information about you to anybody else, and they don't sell advertising through their services either. So there are neat features all the way down this side. I can add team members, so I can add them to my brand, and I can control the way that we publish. So I can set up default times or set times during which we publish. And this actually gets very, very nifty when we start looking at things like the smart queue function. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Roles and permissions allows me to determine who on my team has the ability to accomplish what within Zoho Social. Let's see. Oh, under publishing. Sorry, under publishing, there's my queue settings. I also have publishing settings where I can force Zoho to not publish anything until I reestablish it. I can also specify whether to use Bitly or Zurl. Zurl is Zoho's built-in link shortening service. And again, this means that You can have your bit short your URL shortening service can be set up through Zoho, which again does not track your behavior or sell aggregated information about you. A bit further down under roles and permissions, this is where I can determine the permissions for different roles within my Zoho application. So if I have only 2 users, I'll probably only have the brand admin and the user, but I can create new roles and specify what each new role is able to do. Of course, if I only have 3 licenses to use Zoho Social, then obviously it only makes sense to have 3 roles, probably. I can think that there may be reasons to have more than 3 roles, but yeah, it may be possible to have more than 3 roles, but I sort of doubt it would be useful for most organizations. I'm just going to cancel that. But before I do, this simply allows me to dictate whether that particular role is able to access the publishing screen, whether that person is able or that role is able to handle messages, comment and reply, or get advanced reports. I'm just going to cancel out of that for now. Next down, notifications. This determines how Zoho Social should behave and what Zoho Social would do when certain events occur on certain social channels. So here it says, notify selected members by email whenever a scheduled post goes live on social channels, and so on and so forth. So different things that Zoho may be doing, or Zoho Social may be doing, or things that it detects. Zoho says who should be notified, or should a particular member of my organization be notified. And then we have notifications from within Zoho social channels. Right now, again, I've only connected the Marks Group Live Twitter profile. So you can see that specifically on Twitter, anytime there's a mention or a message or a retweet or a reply, this user, the TMG user, so the admin user, which I am on this system right now, the admin user gets a notification whenever there's a mention, a message, a retweet, or a reply. Obviously, for different channels, there will be different features, or there will be different types of notifications. So on Facebook, there will be a repost instead of a retweet. On LinkedIn, it may be a like as well, and so on and so forth. Finally, we get to lead generation, which is mind-blowingly cool. Once again, I've only just set up Twitter, but you can see what kinds of things we can automate. When somebody, and you see here, there's Twitter. If I had multiple channels active here, I would see a different tab for each channel. So in Twitter, whenever somebody retweets my brand's tweet, I can add that person as a lead or a contact. And there, I can enable that behavior. Similarly, whenever somebody sends a direct message to my brand with any of these keywords, so I can add keywords such as CRM or looking or Zoho. So whenever somebody sends a direct message to my brand with those keywords, I can again add that person automatically as a lead or a contact. Sends a direct message to my brand, mentions my brand with any of these keywords, or mentions my brand in their tweets. This is incredibly powerful behavior. Now, my Zoho CRM, in conjunction with Zoho Social, these applications are acting as automatic lead generation. It's an automatic lead generation engine feeding potential customers into my CRM with my necessarily having to manually monitor every channel 24/7. I'm going to skip over the last 3 settings and move to the 7 tabs up at the top of the screen for a quick look. First up, there's the home screen, where I have a snapshot of what's happening. The brand health up here at the top shows me changes over the past 30 days for the accounts that I've connected. That is some of the accounts. It will not report changes to my LinkedIn profile nor the Google My Business page. Down at the below that, the recent posts, that shows me what I've been posting, and down below that, what kind of traction I've had. I can click and see specifics for each post. There are my post stats for that particular post. And I can do this. There's nothing to see on the CRM stats at this point. But there are my post stats. Engaged one person, sentiment was neutral, and so on. We'll talk more about these two buttons a little shortly. I can close any one of these panes that shows up by clicking on the X in the upper left corner. So, of course, if I had more posts, I'd see them here, and then I could click on each one of them. Then on the right, there's the live stream. This panel shows me what's currently happening on my social, on my social channels. Not all of them, in the sense that it doesn't show me a live feed of Twitter. However, it shows me what is happening, what I am doing, or what is happening in terms of messaging to me or events that are occurring on my feed. The Posts tab is next up. This is where we compose and post content to our networks. We can see a bunch of tabs off on the left side there. Show me what we've published, what we've promoted, what's scheduled, what hasn't yet been published, an area to create drafts, and the incredibly useful calendar. I won't go into detail on these, but I will create one scheduled post, and I think I'm going to have that go out in about 5 minutes. So let me do that. I'm going to create a new post. I'll do that right here. Now, if I click on that down arrow, I can also, this is also where I can upload data from my bulk schedule. We will do that, or we have done that in another class. If you don't see the class, give us a buzz at support@marksgrouplive.com to find out where that lesson might be. Right now, I'm just going to create a conventional new post. Now, I'm only on Twitter, so that's the only icon that shows up here. And I get a reminder that I have 280 characters. So I'm going to write a post. Hello, world, again. Yeah, this is Marks Group Live again, coming from within Zoho Social. Now, as you might expect, my hashtags are all available for use. Zoho Social, I will hashtag Marks Group Live. We're exploring the Zoho Social app. Do you see how my character count is running out there in the top right? I'm down to 156 characters remaining. This is a scheduled post. Okay, and I'll do a, actually, you know what? Instead of doing an old-fashioned smiley, I'll do a modern emoji. Grinning face with big eyes. Let's do that. And I can search for emojis. Let's do a, no, let's not do a fist bump. I don't think that looks like enough like a fist bump. Let's see, let's do a thumbs up. There we go. All right. I can have my a whole variety of emojis. I can have symbols there as well. Because this is Twitter, I can add a DM link, and I can add a photo or multiple photos in a video. Depending on which platform you're posting to, you may have more or fewer options down here. Of course, if you're in Facebook, you're not limited to 112 or 280 characters. Now to the right here, I can save this as a draft. Or I can bang it out to Twitter right away. I can also set this as a scheduled post by specifying a date and time on the right side. I really cannot overstress how great scheduling is in terms of making sure that your social media presence has content in it, in terms of being able to set up content on a daily basis or a weekly basis or 3 times a week, whatever your post frequency happens to, your ideal post frequency is. You can set up all of your content on Monday or on the first Monday of the month, and have regular content going out every day or every 3 days or once a week. And you don't have to be sitting there thinking, well, I have to hit the send button right now. You don't have to do that when you've got scheduling options. Actually, speaking of scheduling, let me go there because that's where we are right now. So I'm going to schedule this to go out right now. My clock says it's that time, so I'm going to schedule this to go out in 5 minutes. I'm not going to repeat the post, although I could. That's really powerful. Actually, I may come back to that scheduling time. Then there's the queue. Finally, we have the queue options here. This is where Zoho Social leaves the realm of useful tool for lots of people and edges into the territory of powerful tool for social media operatives and agencies. The custom queue can be set up in the settings area. We looked at that earlier. I'm going to not bother with that. That would just take me to the settings area where we already looked at the times and dates for posting. It's a handy way to make sure that you're publishing content in a more controlled manner. But then we have the Smart Queue function, which is available actually, I think, in all paid versions of Zoho Social. Smart Queue will monitor your engagement based on different days and times, and then make suggestions for when you might want to publish for maximum effect. So it'll make suggestions for a Facebook page, a Twitter profile, and an Instagram profile. This is very powerful also. At this point, it's not going to tell us much because we've only posted once. All right. I'm going to post that. Let's see, what time is it now? According to my computer clock, it's 2:24. So let's post this at, oopsie, wrong direction there, sorry. Let's post this at 2:28. I'll schedule that. Right, so now this has been, this post that I just created is now in my scheduled posts area. It's not unpublished because I have published it. It just hasn't gone out yet. It's not in the drafts, and we'll look at the calendar in another lesson. So that post is ready to go out. I can force it to go out immediately. I can edit it, or I can move this into the collaborate area, which we're not going to do at this point. I can also embed it in another location. I can shift it back into the drafts area, or I can delete it. I'm going to let it post, and we'll look at that in a few moments. Here's my filter for posts. This, if I happen to have a large number of posts here, and if you're in a serious social media situation, you may have hundreds or thousands of posts across different organizations. You can specify custom scheduled posts, bulk scheduled posts, and so on. So this gives you a way to manage more easily what you're looking at. And then over here is a calendar that we can use to help us in terms of finding out when and where things are getting posted. All right, that's the posts. Next up, messages. If your feed is starting to get cluttered, you can filter incoming feeds according to leads that are messaging, contacts that are messaging, or everybody. Um, Again, we've just set up this Twitter account, so we're not going to have messages appearing here yet. Over in the Monitor tab, we can see that we have two columns set up already. We have Twitter mentions on the left side, and then in the middle, we have leads and contacts. Interactions with leads and contacts. We don't have any of those yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do some interacting here. This is a really powerful feature. So here is my Zoho mentions. So what I can do here is, I recently recorded a video in which I sent out I recently recorded a lesson in which I sent out a hello world message from within the Marks Group Live Marks Group Live Zoho CRM Social tab. And the folks at Zoho CRM kindly responded and offered me a fist bump. That's one that looks like a fist. Cool. So now I'm going to like their reply. So even though I'm in the Zoho Social environment, I'm still engaging in activity on the Marks Group Live Twitter account. And I'm going to reply, thanks. Today's class is on the Zoho Social app. Hello, I used to be able to spell. There we go. I won't bother with a DM link. That's if we want this to be a private conversation. It doesn't have to be, so I'm simply going to reply. Right. So now, there's the conversation. And now when we go back, we can see that there is our posts. This one just went out a few moments ago. And the post that we have scheduled has not yet gone out. Right. So where were we? I think we were in the monitor. Right. Now I can have multiple columns here for each network. I can reposition columns by being up in the header and moving them back and forth. I can choose what I see in each column. I can filter the columns. For Twitter, I can perform keyword searches. Let me just add a column here. So I can have CRM interactions, which is already actually in the middle here. So I can have mentions, that's already here on the left. I can have a timeline. I can have a column that shows me likes, keywords. Under keywords, I can search for specific keywords. Similarly, I can search for specific users. And now I can actually already also create create, manage, and monitor Twitter lists from within the Monitor tab. Now that said, the total number of search terms cannot exceed 20. The standard version of Zoho Social gives me 5 columns per brand. The professional version offers 15 columns per brand. The Monitor tab is really ideally named. It gives you the ability to monitor a potentially huge amount of information, filtering out what is less important and letting you focus on what's most important for your organization. When you think about the fire hose that is social media, when you think about the sheer amount of stuff that's there, particularly stuff that is not there because you're interested in it, stuff that's there because advertisers have placed it there, or people who are advancing one position or another are posting content. The Monitor tab in the Zoho Social allows you to focus strictly on the content that is important to you and your organization and your customers. One more tab over, we have Connections. This is similar to the Messages and Monitors tabs, but it has a different focus. On the left side, we have filters or selectors to show which connections I might see on that screen. Right now it's recently engaged. I can look at all connections right now. I am connected on Twitter. Here's my Twitter icon. Once again, if I were connected on other platforms, if I'd enabled those channels here, I would see those icons up at the top as well. And I would switch between different social media platforms using these icons or these tabs up at the top. So Gene Marks, there's my private account and the Zoho CRM folks. When I hover, you'll notice that I get a little handshake. Oh, I can add that person to my CRM. I can add that connection with a click of a button, assuming that our automation that we saw back in the settings area hasn't already done that. With a click of the mouse, I get a great view of that connection, and nearly everything here is live. I can follow or unfollow. I can add personal information. I can see both my interactions with that person as well as that person's Twitter profile. Look, there's Mr. Marx's tweets, following, followers, likes. So everything that I can do, pretty much, I think everything that I can do in Twitter, I can do from within Zoho Social, but I can do it far more efficiently without the additional clutter. Without question, I think this is better than the native interface of any single social media site. Not only do you have multiple social media channels all within one platform, here we have more different ways of seeing, classifying, and managing our interactions with people that may be relevant to our organization. One more tab over. Oh, let me close that. Twitter following, Twitter followers, and so on. So these are followers of the Marks Group Live Twitter account. One more tab over, we have Collaborate. This is where members of the social media team can work together on developing, discussing, and refining content. Right now, this Zoho Social account has a team of exactly one. So discussions are going to be a bit one-sided, hence the emptiness in this area. But here I could have discussions. I can post drafts of posts. Here we can see posts as well, and so on. So this is the Collaborate area is excellent, especially in situations where you may have an administrator and a lower ranking or a subsidiary social media operative, where the administrator should be clearing content that is posted initially or initially created by an operative. So it gives you that security of having somebody checking to make sure that what goes out is consistent, is appropriate, and is on brand. Finally, we have reports, where we can see a dashboard of analytic widgets. For any given report, I can hover, and in a lot of cases, not all, I should say, near the title, I can click on that and get an exploded view of what I'm looking at. And I can put that away with the X again at the top left, or for some reports, I have selectors. So here, this is replies and retweets on Twitter. So I can filter this by all time and so on different time frames. I can export this graph. I can embed it in an email or export it as a PDF or a PNG. And finally, the ellipsis. I can throw this over to the Collaborate area and discuss it. And I can do that for a variety of reports. I can also create a custom report. Oh, sorry, quick note here. There's my selector, languages and connections, and I can change the graph type as well to a bar graph or a pie chart. And again, because this account was just created, it's a little bit Spartan at this point. I can have scheduled reports. So I can have a report, for example, that goes out every Friday or the last day of the month, just to make sure that, or a report that identifies how many people are on each of my social media platforms, how much engagement I have across those platforms, and what my followers and following numbers are like. If you have acquired or if you have secured the services of a social media company, this is the kind of report that they will create for you. Or if you happen to be an agency, Zoho Social will let you create this type of report. And of course, we have custom reports as well. Here within Twitter, those are the stats and the analytics that are available. Again, if this is something that interests you, take a look in our archive to see if we have another lesson on this. And if you do not see a lesson on reports in Zoho Social, drop us a line at support@marksgroup.live, and we'll make sure that either we unearth it or we create it. I'm going to put that away for the time being. Right now, I have notifications there. Those are notifications from activity that happened earlier. And if you remember in the setup area, there was an option for Zoho to notify us when certain things happened. Well, these things happened, so Zoho is notifying us. That was a super fast overview of Zoho Social. We have covered a lot of ground, and you might be getting an idea that Zoho Social could be a powerful tool for your organization's social media efforts, giving you the ability to manage effective communications while minimizing the time it takes to find and engage with people that may be important for your organization. It's a way to get in on conversations that are important to your organization rather than getting sidetracked in all the stuff that social media likes to sidetrack you with. So let me go back to here. Let me go to here. Let's recap what we've done in today's session. We looked at the different types of Zoho Social. There was the free version, there was the standard, professional, the agency, and the agency plus versions of Zoho Social. We looked at the differences between brands and channels. We looked at the basic setup tasks in Zoho Social, and we took a really fast tour of Zoho Social's 7 tabs. I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. Check out our library for other training videos like this one. If you have any suggestions for other classes, or if you have questions about Zoho, email us at support@marksgrouplive.com. And thanks for viewing.